We are live.
All righty. Call the meeting to order, please. If we can, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for everybody for coming tonight. All right, before we take roll this evening, you may notice that many of us are not wearing masks. SSD has recently announced we are relaxing our masking guidelines for staff based on recent guidelines from the CDC and the St. Louis County Department of Public Health. New guidance allows staff members who are fully vaccinated and do not have any student contact the option to no longer wear a mask in SSD schools and buildings. Our staff who work with students will continue to wear masks, as will our students. So tonight, you can be assured that anyone who is not wearing a mask is fully vaccinated. We are excited about this change, but because it signals a positive turn in the pandemic as more individuals are vaccinated and cases remain low. Thank you. Amy, with that out of the way, and now that we are maskless, can we have a roll call, please?
Director Asner?
Dr. Asner, my understanding is.
Present, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
Director Byers? Here. Director Foster?
Here.
Director Hudson? Here. Director Moller?
Here.
Vice President Huckrock? Here. President Cuneo?
Here. All right, we have a quorum. First off, we should have recognition of board members. With that, I'll put on a coat. Recognizing they have a coat on. I wouldn't do this for everybody.
Oh, thanks.
Scott, just let you know.
I'm honored.
Tonight I have the honor of recognizing some of our new board members. And I'd like to recognize Dr. Paul Asner, who's on Zoom, Dr. Meredith Byers, and Mr. Scott Moeller for completing their certified board members essential training from Missouri School Boards Association. Training consists of 18.5 hours of professional development designed specifically for board members. It addresses topics from a policy leader's perspective. The SSD appreciates their dedication to serving on the Board of Education, their commitment to professional development, allowing them to serve the public in an effective way. And I have Scott, if you would come on, I want to give you your certificate of appreciation and achievement, letters, and a pen.
Excellent.
Now, Dr. Asner, I would love to fly down to Sanibel and give you yours, but since nobody's willing to pay for my airfare, that one's out. Meredith, I've always been wanting to say this, but yours is in the mail. That's what I was told, but we will make sure that you get yours at the next, no, not, when you come back from Hawaii, we will get you yours. All right, thank you, everybody, and congratulations. Tonight, we have no public comments. Our next report is on the joint resolution. Please.
Yes, so we are going to give a couple of updates on some of our,
Pardon? Oh, I'm sorry. Would someone like to make a motion to approve tonight's agenda? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Now we can do SESPA's joint resolution.
yes, we've got a couple of updates on our completion of our negotiations with some of our several groups. So SESPA is primarily our secretarial group, and Amy Schechter has been working with them. So she's going to give you an update for the approval of this for tonight.
Good evening, President Kavanaugh, Vice President Potroff, and the Board of Directors. I'm Amy Schechter, the Chief Human Resources Officer, and I'm going to give you some information on the SESPA joint resolution that was ratified. So SESPA stands for the Special Education Support Personnel Association. Dr. Smith indicated they are the individuals in our district that provide clerical support and assistance. The bargaining team on the representatives were myself and Dan Kelly, the Director of Human Resources. And the representatives from SESPA included the President, Andrea Lawrence, who provides clerical support to the juvenile detention facilities and schools. Phyllis Elliott, the Vice President, provides clerical support to human resources. Brigitte Humphries, who is the UNICEF Director with Missouri NEA. We utilize the collective bargaining process, not the interest-based bargaining that was used in several of the other joint resolutions this evening, primarily because there were no language issues that were addressed in this process. However, there were language clarifications that I will cover. We had 3 meetings where we discussed salary and had negotiations regarding salary increases. As far as the language updates that were necessary, in their joint resolution, Article 20 covers insurance and fringe benefits. We updated that article to reflect benefits becoming effective on their first day of employment. Article 33 is duration. We have agreed to a 2-year agreement with this group, so that article was updated indicating that the duration is July 1st of 2021 to June 30th of 2023. And then we did include a memorandum of understanding at the end of the joint resolution that we will discuss and review job descriptions and standard operating procedures, often referred to as SOP, for all positions covered by the bargaining unit in the fall of this year. And then we did reach, so this PowerPoint is an older PowerPoint, so the salary information that is in here is not accurate. So I'm going to tell you what was ratified today. So the year 1 was a 3.5% total increase to forecasted expenditures, and that equates to an increase in dollars of $210,829. And total forecasted expenditures for year 1 or the 21-22 school year would be $6,242,184. On year 2 of the joint resolution ratified today is a 3% increase to forecasted expenditures, and that's an increase of $187,266, with a total forecasted increase for expenditures to $6,429,450. Our last slide is any questions that you might have.
Do you want to repeat the overall, the two years again for everybody?
Of course. So the overall increase for year 1 is 3.5% to forecasted expenditures, and it's $6,242,184 expended, forecasted to be expended, of course. Then year 2 is a 3% increase to forecasted expenditures with a total overall cost forecasted at $6,429,400. The SEPA team and their membership were very specific in that they wanted equitable salary increases for all members. So everyone received, for the most part, of course, there are some differential at that very first step and that very top step if you haven't all of it on the schedule. But it took a little while to get to ratification on the equity.
I'm very thankful for a 2-year agreement. And I'm very thankful that we're starting insurance on the day this person starts. Enjoy it, fair.
Questions?
Next, we have the 610 maintenance and warehouse joint resolution.
All right, so Director Dan Kelly from Human Resources was working on this one. So he'll give you an update on the resolution on this one.
Good evening, Board President Cuneo, President Patra, Director Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Keenan. My name is Dan Kelly, Director of Human Resources. I'm here to give you an overview on the ratification of the contract, Easter's Local 610. Our team, representing the district, was Toby Clodfelter, Director of Facilities, Jeff Sherrill, Manager of Facilities, Missy Morris, Manager at the Distribution Center. Representing 610 is Dan Thacker from the union, Dustin Bisbee, representative from the Facilities Department, and Scott Notice representing the Distribution Center. Next slide, please. Thank you. As Amy had mentioned, this process is a little bit different since it's interest-based bargaining, more traditional collective bargaining. Previously, as Amy mentioned, really no language issues, just language clarification. We also then discuss salary. So some language updates. Article 13, again, to bring in line current practice, was just adjusting insurance benefits effective day 1. Article 19 was the duration of the contract. Previously mentioned this was a 2-year agreement, 2021 through 2023. Some of the agreed upon details of the salary agreement for year 1, step movement, step adjustment, an overall 4.12 increase to forecasted expenditures, an additional $52,333, bringing the total cost to $1,322,714. Year 2, step movement, step adjustments. We added a longevity step for staff that have been at the top of the step. For an overall increase of 3.46% increase to forecasted expenditures, bringing that increased cost to $45,737 for a total cost of $1,368,451.
Next, we have the Student Services Department summary, please.
Alan Weed. So this is kind of a breaking off from our orientation for our new board members. We weren't able to get to Alan Weed's department, and so we thought it'd be a good way for us to update everybody. And if we have any other questions, we can always update a little bit more.
President Cuneo, Board Directors, and Dr. Keenan. My name is Alan Wheat. I'm Executive Director of Student Support Services here at Special School District. I'm here tonight to talk about the Student Services Departments and areas. So, Student Services Department is a diverse group of departments that provide support for students who need some specialized additional supports in order to benefit from the special education services. That covers a wide variety of disciplines, including assistive technology, adaptive physical education, occupational and physical therapy, speech therapy, audiology. There's quite a few areas covered by this as well. The Student Services Department also works to manage the student records releases and the requirements necessary for that, and the student intake, which is how special school district comes to understand when students move into the partner district. So, next slide. So the department overall has student success as its primary driver, but families and community members also benefit through the Instructional Resource Center and the PETA department, which I'll go into a little bit more here. Next slide. The Adaptive Physical Education, also known as APE department, provides specialized supports for students who can't benefit or operate within the normal physical education curriculum partner. Happens in a variety of ways, but we provide supports to ensure that students have a movement program to address their physical education needs. The audiology department performs hearing evaluations and screenings utilizing our advanced hearing tools, as well as providing hearing screenings for all of the partner districts at grade levels on a rotating basis. So we do about 80,000 hearing screenings a year. Okay. Augmentative communication is students that have very specialized communication needs. Augmentative communication is adaptive equipment, different devices to assist students with very different communication needs to be able to communicate in their educational programs, often also in their home lives as well. Computer access, like augmentative communication, computer access provides supports to students who do not benefit from their education without specialized equipment and or supports. Those supports range from highly technical solutions such as head arrays, down to very low-tech solutions such as pencil grips and other more modest adaptive equipment to allow a student to interact with their educational program. The Instructional Resource Center is currently housed right across the hall, and it provides specialized materials, instructional materials, equipment. That equipment is available to staff working with students, but also with families and community members. They can schedule a time to check out equipment to work with the children. So they have a wide variety, many hundreds of thousands of pieces of equipment and materials that can be checked out by teachers for a period of the entire year. Music therapy. So our music therapists provide supports for students who are struggling to make progress on their goals. The IEP team determines that it is an approach that would be used in order to allow a student to make progress on their goals and objectives. It is basically an additional instructional approach to meet the needs of students who are struggling to make good progress on their IEP plan. Health services. So health services is our nursing program and also our additional support programs. So we provide safe and effective care for students and staff that have specialized nursing or health needs. The purpose of that is to ensure that students can come to school safely and participate in their educational programs. So that's done in several ways. One is the one-to-one nurse support. We've got about 43 students currently that benefit from that, and that's where a nurse needs to be with the child all day long because of their acute medical conditions make it unsafe for them to be present at school without the support of a nurse. We have currently a health clinic, which is done in partnership with our medical program, IFN. That's with Dr. Campbell, and he's been with us on the board before. That is where we have a clinic, which is available half a day per week at North Technical High School. And students from any of the three buildings up on the campus can schedule appointments to be visited to visit a family nurse practitioner with the intention of doing basic medical care. That includes things like strep tests and other health needs and then also get treatment for medical conditions which take place. Telemedicine is a new program that the pandemic has slowed down its actual deployment, but that's where we're partnering with IFM for our nurses to arrange a visit with a family nurse practitioner or physician to do the same treatment as our health clinic, but anywhere within our building, with future hopes to expand even beyond. Occupational therapy supports students with different mobility concerns. That service can range from basic fine motor skills, tying shoes, handwriting, walking, gait training, other things where their mobility concerns are impacting their access to the school environment, and when it impedes access to instruction. Physical therapy is much like occupational therapy, but it's the purpose there, and that's ordered by a physician. So we provide physical therapy when a child requires it in order to safely be at school. Examples include safety training for staff, assisting students on and off the commode, safe egress from the building, various types of supportive training. Oftentimes it also includes assisting students with it often assists students with standing, walking. Students sometimes require very specialized orthopedic support in order to safely be at school. By providing physical therapy, we allow the child to not have to go to a medical clinic to get some specific mobility-related need met. So that supports their inclusion in the educational program. Next slide. School Psychological Services, that is our evaluation department. They are responsible for Child Find, which allows us to identify a special education need of a student according to Missouri eligibility. Additionally, they have a focus by training and interest to work with school teams in order to provide RTI and MTSS supports and problem solving so that students can benefit with less invasive supports, such as tiered intervention groups within the department. The current area of intense focus for student disproportionality. Social work. Our social workers work to address barriers to educational learning by helping students with social emotional learning needs. They assist in students in working through stressors, having productive interpersonal communication, and having good decision-making processes around how to behave and how to respond to the circumstances of their lives, which are stressful. We also assist with families and schools by providing connections to community partnerships and resources, and assisting in the planning and transition for students with specialized needs. Speech pathology. For speech pathology, we're providing supports for students who have barriers to their expressive and or receptive communication, social communication, and cognitive communication. So we're assisting students in both understanding what is said to them as well as expressing their learning wants and needs in a functional and socially appropriate way. Student Intake Department works with the 278 or so partner district schools. So when a student moves into St. Louis County, and the partnering school district believes that the student requires special education, either by parent information or by suspicion, they communicate with our intake department for us to identify the student and seek out any documentation that the parent was not able to provide it at enrollment. So through that process, they communicate with all of the administrative team in the district and school that the student attends in to make sure that processes are started as quickly as possible, usually within 24 to 36 hours after a student enrolls in a partner school district. They have communicated that need to us, and we have then turned that information around back to the special education staff where the child will attend. Very proud of how quickly we've been able to do that over the last several years, which means that we have minimal delays in the provision of special education when students move into the county. Student Records Department is responsible for releasing information and storing information securely. So as students move in and out of the county, when they move out of St. Louis County and go to a different school district, we release that information to that school district. Additionally, there's parent requests for information from the special education records, which they respond to the regulatory requirements for an auditable, authorized transmission of all student information into and out of the district. So that includes parents, students, staff, and third parties, such as attorneys or other universities sometimes. The Parent Education and Diversity Office, Latrice Morgan did a presentation for you guys a few weeks back. That department is committed to meaningful inclusion, equity, and family engagement through collaborative relationships to support the needs of students in having self-determined lives. They provide workshops in parent education. They also maintain a library of disability awareness resources for families to use. I did not put it here, but we learned a little bit about our Parent Leadership Institute, so we're working through that process and partnering with families in order to create good awareness in both directions and improve communication.
Question on student records. How long do we keep student records?
We're required to keep most types of student records for 3 years after a student stops receiving services from us. When we are able to get rid of records, we're obligated to inform the family that we intend to destroy the records and give them an opportunity to receive them prior to us destroying records.
I say that because when an individual applies for disability, many times they want past records, past school records. Many times individuals who have intellectual disabilities have run into the law and need some type of Alaska records. So do you find 3 years is long enough?
3 years is a regulatory requirement. There's a lot of the records which we keep for quite a lot longer because of the digital storage method. There are different types of records which have to be maintained longer. For example, a transcript must be maintained for 125 years. And we have, over the last several years, gone through a massive effort to digitize all paper records in our records room to a printable format in one of our own systems. So we get about 2 or 3 requests a week that might date back to the 60s or 70s. And we are able to deliver a cross-section of the information. It wouldn't necessarily include everything that the central office file would have.
Thank you.
I have a question. You mentioned about some of the health services that we provide at North Carolina Tech. And I know that, I'm assuming that that means that those students are students that are currently enrolled. Are we in contact with counselors at our partnering districts? And my reason for asking this is, for example, if a kid may suffer a trauma, and it could be someone close to him was killed in an auto accident. The kid is not a child of IEP needs, but they may be actually needing assistance, that type of a trauma. Are we set up to where that counselor at that school contact us and ask for our assistance to help that child get past
Absolutely.
that?
It isn't through the health services department, that would be through social work. So we have social workers assigned to every St. Louis County school. And so when those instances occur, and they do, the counselor often consults with our social worker, who may institute what is known as a crisis team intervention. When that takes place, all of the social workers in the vicinity of the school where the child attends are notified, and they converge on that support. So those sometimes occur when a student expires, or if there's a significant violent or traumatic event, a crisis team referral is made. Those high-level, sort of high-response instances are often for students that have disabilities, but our social workers in each partnering district do absolutely support students both with and without disabilities.
Thanks for the information. When you mentioned the IRC, the Instructional Resource Center, and mentioned the support materials that were available for checking out families in need, I started thinking about families who might have transportation challenges. Comment on that? Do you have means for facilitating?
We've been talking about that recently, that particularly during pandemic, having curbside service available, and we also make some provisions for shipping or for movement of the equipment or materials to the school where the child attends to assist the equipment, to assist the release to happen where the child is. So the pandemic caused us to step up our thinking along those lines, but at the same time, the pandemic limited the amount of individuals who were seeking those kinds of remediations. So that is definitely on our plan going forward, is to make it not a requirement that people bring themselves to us. So our catalog is available to be viewed online, but finding better ways to make sure that families can browse and get. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. The next agenda is an update on our summer program.
Yeah, so Ms. Pendergrass, our chief academic officer, is just going to give you some updates, just an overview of the attendance right now, just so that you guys can see where we're at currently. We're going to keep monitoring this throughout the summer, and we're going to do a full report to the board in September to make sure that we're looking at understanding the needs of ESY and USS and from our family perspective. And we'll also be going to do a survey to all of our families after completing the programs. But I just wanted to give you guys.
Thank you, Dr. Keenan, President Dr. Cuneo, Vice President Patra, Board of Directors, and I'm Pendergrass, the Chief Academic Officer. This evening, I'm just going to update you and pleasurably say ESY and USS is all underway. It's all going. So, next slide. We're going to talk about some of the enrollment and attendance for both extended school year and universal summer support. Next slide. So we broke this down in a couple of ways with participation and location. What was shown as we were going, and it had been brought up at the last meeting, was some of the families that had volunteered to go or were interested to go and the lack of attendance. So we actually started collecting data on some of our families that had interest and who actually is attending. Next slide. So for our ESY and SSD schools, of our students that had about 99, we have higher percentages of students that are qualifying for extended school year that actually are coming to school. We see our attendance is running a little higher. VSP is a little lower because for those of you that may not know, those students can also participate in SWEP, which is a paid internship. So some of our families are taking in that opportunity as well. Next slide. So universal summer support. We have a similar slide. So next slide. These are the locations. We have quite many locations throughout St. Louis County that are participating in either us joining, like in Afton, their summer journey program, or our staff is helping support students accessing their summer journey program, to some of our other schools that are actually providing their own universal summer supports, like Maplewood Richmond Heights, that is using our materials and support for universal summer support. Next slide. Just some more of the locations. As you can see, we have them in all locations. The only difference, Valley Park and Rockwood teamed together. So because of the limited number of students that were attending Valley Park's Universal Summer Support, the director got with Dr. Carmen Harris, the director of Rockwood, and they combined programs. And so our students, there's about 4 students that are attending over from Valley Park to Rockwood. There might be more. Rockwood was one of the districts that once it started, they are sitting at almost 100% plus. As the summer got underway, more families took opportunities in the Universal Summer Supports program.
Before you move this, are all Melville schools having it? Or is it?
All, yes. So all Millville schools are running some of the programs. Yes. Next slide. Very similar number of participants to actually what's showing up. As I had said, some of the districts, once the summer program started getting underway, an example, a student may be attending ESY, families notice that there are students staying behind, inquiring about why those students might be staying behind. They were made aware of the summer support, so the families opted in, and we accepted them and got them enrolled in and started supporting them with us. Next slide. I'm sorry.
Back to that slide.
Yes, ma'am.
I know you have it underlined saying they're still gathering information.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you drill down on that a little bit to know what we're still looking for and what's happening in those 3 districts?
So, yeah, some of the things, in Ferguson, St. Jennings, and the other district, those programs are combined. So we're trying to figure out, we can take attendance on the students that we show should be participating there, but a lot of our families use their application process to enroll in their summer program. So we're trying to disaggregate that data. So that's something we will actually be looking at moving forward.
But we do have students in those,
Yes, ma'am.
there's no district where we don't have students attending. Okay.
Correct, yes, yes. Yeah, in Maplewood, I talked to Ben Gleason, the director that will be in Maplewood Richmond Heights. He said of the 46 families, there's about 30 that are attending. Some have already notified them that they are on vacation because they started very late compared to the other summer programs. So they are on vacation this week, but maybe starting after the 4th of July. So we'll know a little bit more. In our schools and our vocational schools program, we have USS enrollment and attendance. Again, a little bit more supporter. We're finding that in our high school settings, parents are either opting out, not have them stay around, or they're participating in other camp activities or other programs. Next slide. So what we'll do moving forward, of course, staffing is still an issue. We do have programs that are understaffed. That will be an issue. Nursing, Alan Week has done a wonderful job trying to go out and get applicants from nurses and get agreements with other nursing companies so we get our students supported through both programs. We're going to manage and monitor student attendance. Of course, we just finalized our questions, and I shared it with the district leadership team today for surveys that are going out to our families. Of all of our families, that students either qualified for extended school year and participated or showed an interest in universal summer support. We're going to review the process with both our building principals and teachers and families that have participated in the program to see the good, the bad, and the ugly of what has transpired. And really focus on, we have a question about transportation to make sure we're communicating great with transportation. And then also if your student or if your child did qualify and you decided not to attend, what were some of the reasons why? What were some of the options? And then, of course, in September, I will be presenting all of the data to you in a final board report and next step.
Overall, what do you think of the program? How is it being received?
So when you go into the schools, I think, I see smiling faces, I see, families. I haven't heard too many family issues that are happening. I think there's a lot of room that we would have for improvement if we do summer programs again. One of the things that we should have thought of, I should have thought of, is that the difference in the routines of extended school year to the summer activities in the afternoon. Some children are having some significant behaviors with kind of change in routine, to where you have a certain amount of material and curriculum in ESY, and then they switch up, and it's a little bit more fun in the afternoon with some of the activities, because we want to make it engaging and fun. So making sure that we would have appropriate support teams there to support students, make sure we have support teams, enough staff, enough skilled staff, so that's one of the things. But for the most part, I think it's underway. Students are attending. As I was told over and over again, the numbers are not as high as we originally thought we were going to have. So but there's some things that we can definitely do better.
I'd be interested after a year of this, or after having the summer. Then when they start, I'd be curious, was there usually when you start the school year, people have forgotten, declined, some of their skills have already gone. So I'd be curious to find out to stop the erosion of skills.
Regression.
Right, yeah, regression. So we definitely have a list of the students that are attending definitely in our schools and our other programs that we could definitely compare to in the schools. I know the formative data that we take in the beginning and the fall, and see if there's any kind of correlation to those that stayed with us for ESY and USS and those that didn't.
Any possibility, depending upon the success and depending upon it, stop the regression, slow the regression at this time period, that this would be a good enough idea to continue on the following year? If we have the money.
I think some great things have come of this. Although USF was a one-time offering, I think the opportunity for us to be innovative and think outside the box of summer programming is something that we need to consider and do for all of our students. We will always do extended school year as a part of their IEP process, but there's been some really good, solid partnerships in between us and the partner districts, and some opportunities for our students to access summer programming in their district that I think we need to explore.
Yeah, go on.
I think the data shows that this is a need for our families outside of ESY. That we need to look at, supporting our families, because you can see more families, we have a higher rate of families signing up for USS and actually attending versus their ESY programming. We still are mandated to do ESY, but I really think that we need to look at how do we support the families that want to be able to support, who don't qualify for ESY. And then we do have those offerings. So it might not be in a USS format, but it might be in looking at a summer school and partnering with our partner districts how to support students in summer school programming. So that it's more matching up with what the regular year looks like, and kind of, if families want to participate in it, how do we make sure that we're supporting those students to be successful in summer?
Yeah, I'd love to be able to see what accomplished on this. And if it's worth, try again. Is it worth the money is what I'm thinking. So how would we go about it?
If one student benefited, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Wendy, you mentioned about the staffing, and Alan was working on the staffing for our nursing. Is the traveling nursing situation affecting us with abilities to be able to have enough nurses to fill the needs that we have?
So as a nurse enlightened me over the summer, there's a reason why nurses are school nurses. That's because they're families, and they want to mimic their children's calendars and be off with their children in the summer. So that might be one of the reasons why we're struggling to get nurses. I think across the United States, nursing is an area that there's a significant shortage, and we are also doing it. Any other questions?
All right. I have a motion for approval of consensual items, please?
So moved.
All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Action items, 8.01. Someone like to make a motion?
Second.
All right. Clever College, East Tennessee. We have comments on it? Okay, SESPA, the Special Education Support Personnel Association. Someone like to make a motion to approve. Discussion. All in favor? Aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Now, the Clemmer College of East Tennessee State University Memorandum of Understanding. Someone like to make a motion to approve? Second, please. All right, we have questions on this one?
Yes, the memorandum of understanding contains what particular item accomplished.
Students that attend, that university can do their student teaching and field experience within.
Sort of the questions today being, I'm curious how many of these agreements
I will get that number for you and send that to Amy. Yes. Would you like just the number or the list of universities as well?
so
Any other questions on this? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Someone like to make a motion for a closed meeting of the Board of Education on June 22nd, 7 p.m. We need a roll call on this. Now, you're calling in from what? There is a time change, isn't it? Oh.
Are you asking me if there's a time change?
Pardon? No. Do you have do you have a time change there?
Well, yes, but I don't think that's relevant to the meeting. I'm sorry, it's a little bit hard to hear, so I was just clarifying.
All right, would someone like to make the motion for a closed meeting, June 22nd? So,
So moved.
need a roll call vote, please.
Director Esner?
Yes.
Director Byers?
Yes.
Director Faulkner?
Yes.
Director Hudson? Yes. Director Mueller?
yes.
Vice President Petroff? Yes. President Cunha?
Yes. Someone like to make a motion of approval of the minutes of our last meetings?
Gotcha.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Executive meeting actions. Okay. The following items were approved during the May 25th executive meeting. Employment, resignations, retirement, salary adjustments, extra duty pay, and vacancy pay. 2, reemployment of administrative staff for the 2021-22 school year. 3, reemployment of substitute part-time hourly staff for the 2021 school year. 4, reemployment of extended school year staff and summer staff. 5, reemployment of miscellaneous business professional staff for the 2021-22 school year. 6, Reemployment of universal summer supports staff for the summer of 2021. 7, non-renewal of support staff for the 2021-22 school year. 8, reduction in force of administrative and support personnel. 9, termination of employment. 10, pre-employment of instructional staff. And finally, 1 agreement. Thank you. Next, anyone have any board communications? Dr. Asner, are you enjoying yourself?
Pretty good so far, yes.
Good, thank you. All right, calendar of events, people can read. Would someone like to make a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. You could, it is about 6:37. If we would take about